Hey everybody, welcome again. C2 Tactical. We're doing a little bit of shooting here. It's your boy John. We're gonna go a little bit further into our series on making the transition to the pistol mounted optic. Today, I wanna talk to you about dot offset. Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video. So if you are considering making the change to the red dot, or maybe you already have made it, and maybe you're struggling with what it is that you can do with the dot, and you're like, man, I know this dot can make me more accurate. It can also make you faster, quite frankly, but I'm struggling with some. I totally get it. And so this whole series, and we have a whole series on making the transition, is for those of you who are. Now, again, if you are not interested in changing over to the red dot, or you are a red dot master, or you're gun Amish, and so iron sights is the way for you for the rest of your life, cool, man. This video missed you, okay? It's okay. Go watch one of the other 7 videos that we posted this week to our training and skills channel, and those are for you. This one's not, okay? There's no sense sitting here and complaining to me about the dot when I am not talking to you, all right? For those of you who are running a dot, this is my carry gun. It is running a Holosun 507C green in circle only. This Theseus has around 47,000 rounds through it with this configuration. I shoot a lot and I shoot the dot a lot. Now, one of the things that you'll notice here is you see the barrel is, I want you to see, the barrel is at this height, the optic is above that. In fact, you can kind of see here that maybe the top of the sight is about where the optic, where the dot is going to be. We're not talking about that, about using your sights, irons like a lollipop, okay? Not talking about that. I just want you to see that your barrel is about probably a good inch below where your sight is going to be. And you can see that here too, right? So you can see kind of this is the line of the barrel and this is the line of the optic. So at short distances, now what happens here is that the optic is actually kind of at an angle. It's at a downward angle so that the bullet, when it comes out of the chamber, when it comes out of the muzzle, it rises, okay? So this is, it's on a ballistic trajectory, right? So it's gonna, once it's out of the barrel, it's not being accelerated anymore. It's gonna rise for a time and then drop. Now, if we were to be completely horizontal, it wouldn't rise. It would just kind of drop off because gravity works, right? Physics is not a suggestion, it's the law. However, what we have here is we have this guy here is canted down ever so slightly, which cants the barrel up ever so slightly, so that the bullet trajectory rises to meet this and then eventually starts to drop off so that it stays on an accurate trajectory, goes where we aim it at longer distances. Okay, fine. What I want to show you here is I want to show you just how different and how far those can be off, about an inch or so, and maybe even a little bit more with a pistol. With a rifle, it can get to be an awful lot more because of the height of the optic. But here, I'm gonna start at very short distance, at literally 2 yards away, and I'm gonna show you how different it is, because what I'm gonna do here is, let me holster up real quick so that I can show you. Everything's good there. Safely, carefully, reluctantly holster, grease the landing. So I'm gonna aim right at the middle of the number. So there's the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can go farther if we need to. We can use these 1-inch squares. But I'm going to aim right at the center of it each time. And here at 2 yards, you're going to see there's a difference that's going to be, it'll probably hit about an inch low. So it should hit down here kind of towards the bottom. Now, I know some people are going to ask me like, well, John, why wouldn't you do this off a bench or whatever? Frankly, it'd just be too much of a pain in the butt. I could, but I'll be accurate enough at these distances you'll be able to see it, okay? And we actually have some ones over here that I can show you already on the numbers 6 through 9. We'll kind of sparse those in a little bit so you can see those too. But here at 2 yards, I just want to show you how much different it is. I'm aiming at the number 1, going to be very accurate with my press of the trigger, going to keep my optic very much centered on the number 1, and let's see where the bullet impact goes. I'm at 2 yards. Again, very close shooting, and there it is, right on number 1. Pressing, good. Safely, carefully, reluctantly holster. Grease that landing. Okay, so again, my aim point was right here at the number 1, and I am at the very bottom of that. Now again, it's about an inch low, right? And I should expect that. So if I'm shooting at 2 yards, let's just say I'm doing a drill at 2 yards. I'm not saying there's a whole lot of drills to do at 2 yards. I have to accept and expect that dot offset. And how do we deal with that dot offset? Well, honestly, at this kind of thing, well, if 2 inches is about somebody's ocular cavity, right? And they say, hey, it's at close distance, and I'm pointing a gun in somebody's face because they have my baby is a hostage, and I'm saying let the baby go, and instead I decide to shoot him. Okay, so that might be a scenario. Well, if I'm aiming here and I jerk it low at all, then it might go into his teeth and go down. So I might have to aim a little high. I might have to use what the old school folks would call a little Kentucky windage. That's from the old days of the Kentucky long rifle, where they didn't have adjustable sights, and so they dope the wind and dope the distance, and then like, oh, I'm going to aim over here, and it'll bring it in over there. And you're going to have to do that at these very short distances. Now, if I needed a hit on a 2-inch circle, did I get my hit on a 2-inch circle? I did. And at 2 yards, okay, so there that is. Now, if I aimed it up kind of up here, I would probably get it right there in the middle. So if I'm running, say, dot torture at a very close distance, I might do that. Let's back up to 3 yards and see what the difference is. Now I'm at the 3-yard line. I just moved back 1 yard, and we're gonna aim right at the center of the number 2. We're gonna see if we notice a difference in our point of impact. So we're looking at the difference between our point of aim and our point of impact as we learn to run our dot effectively. So I'm right on the number 2. There it is. And I'm going to keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. Okay, that's actually exactly what I wanted it to be. So what we're going to see here is that at 2 yards, I was down here at the very bottom of my dot. At 3 yards, I am still below where I was, but I am getting pretty darn close. Okay, so I am probably maybe 2/3 of an inch low here at 3 yards. Let's back up to 5 and see what it does to us. Standing now at the 5-yard line, going to shoot at the number 3. Going to do the same thing here. Again, keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. Right on the number 3. Keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. Okay, very good. And here's what we notice. So it might be hard for you to see there. I was just a skosh off left, but you'll notice I'm aiming for kind of right in the middle of the 3, and I am darn close, man. I am so close here. Now, I'm going to show you something interesting. I might splice in some footage from the video that we previously did on the advanced dot torture that I'm doing, but we use this target, and it can actually help us. Let's see it. So again, 2 yards, bottom of the target. 3 yards, getting a little bit higher. 5 yards, I'm really, really close. This here, 7 yards, and you can see I am basically right on the center line. 10 yards, now this one was a little bit low and left. That is what they call the loose nut behind the trigger, okay? So at that kind of distances, I mean, I'm only, I'm an inch off of my point of impact. At 10 yards, you watch that video, see what that does. Now, at 12 yards, 15 yards, now you start to notice I'm aiming the same place, and I'm a little bit high. Why is that? Because this particular training gun is 0 to 10 yards. We'll talk about zero distances another day, okay? What I want you to notice, though, is as I get back out to about 15 yards, 12 and 15, I got to start maybe accounting if I need a very accurate shot. Say I needed a shot that was in the ocular cavity, right? So it's a headshot necessity at 12 yards. Do I need to maybe think about it? Probably not. This is probably, again, a little push for me and my accuracy standards. 15, same thing, probably about the same. But if I'm down here at 2 yards, I may need to go a little bit high. So out at 25 yards, this particular gun tends to print about 3/4 of an inch high, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch high. Now that being said, that is if I'm aiming here, I'm hitting here. Okay, so at 25 yards, this is on a B8 target. If I aim here, I'm hitting at the top of the X. So you know what I do? I know this is happening. So when I'm out at 25 yards, I pretty much print up right on the bottom of the X, and that'll put them in the X ring for me every time. So what is this all about? This is about learning your offset and how the dot, because the dot is a straight line, the bullet is on a ballistic trajectory, what distances everything is at. Guess what? It does this on your irons too. So this is not a thing that's unique to dots. Couple of things though is that if you're not running suppressor height iron sights, they're a little bit lower, so you're only starting at about a 1/2 inch low usually from the iron sights, and so you don't see that need. And most people, frankly, aren't going to shoot past 25 yards with iron sights at all, so you're not going to see the bullet drop in any significant way if you're running irons. If you're running dots, you can sometimes be shooting out to 40, 50, 60, 75, 100 yards even with a pistol because you're playing stupid human games and having fun, right? Not that we would generally recommend doing that in a defensive encounter, but you can. So this is all about learning your dot offset. And how do you learn this stuff? Well, you can learn this out here on the range and just practice and use a bench if you need to really stabilize the gun. Obviously, once you've really mastered grip, sights, and trigger, you can get these kind of hits out to even 15 yards on a 2-inch circle. I'm not telling you, I'm not the world's greatest shooter. I'm pretty good with a gun. But you know, out to 15 yards on a 2-inch circle you can do, just know what your offsets are. You can also do this if you had a laser cartridge and put it in your gun and do it in your dry fire and then see, wait a minute, where's my offsets in those things? So that's kind of an interesting one. On another video about when we go to transition to our dots, we will talk about what distance to zero at, why that matters, or quite frankly, why it don't.